Hello, this is Matt Young, the Illinois RiverWatch coordinator. I'm here to do a video today about how to do RiverWatch lab identification. So today I'll go through all the methods, what you'll need, and the best ways to identify your macroinvertebrates once you've collected them from the field. So first of all, I'm going to go through a few items that you will need to do your macroinvertebrate identification. You will need your Illinois RiverWatch stream monitoring manual. This goes through step-by-step how to identify macroinvertebrates in the lab. It also has the dichotomous key in the back that you can use to identify your macroinvertebrates. Also, it's good to have your color identification cards. These will also help you identify your macroinvertebrates by sight. You will want your lab identification data sheet so you can record what you found and calculate your stream quality indexes. It's also good to have a shallow white pan. It can be plastic or metal or just something with a light colored background to provide high contrast to pour your sample jar into. And some divided petri dishes are also very good to have. These will be used for sorting your macroinvertebrates into different kinds. Lastly, or not lastly, but you will also need forceps. So we have the thin, flimsy ones. These are called field forceps. Can be used for picking up delicate macroinvertebrates. These are the thinner, finer ones. Can be used for picking up just if you need finer dexterity. So forceps, you'll need that for picking up and handling your macroinvertebrates. It's good to have a jar of a bottle of alcohol to add to your petri dishes when you put your macroinvertebrates in there, and to preserve your sample back in the jar when you're finished. And for RiverWatch, we use isopropyl alcohol, 90% concentration. And then it's also good to have some pipettes. You can use these to get the alcohol out of the petri dishes or put it in there. And then you will need a jar label. If you haven't already put one of these in your jar, you'll need to fill this out in pencil and put it inside of your jar when you put your sample back into your jar after you're finished. You also need your sample jar from when you did your RiverWatch survey. This is the macroinvertebrates you collected and put in and preserved in alcohol. We'll be sorting through these and identifying them here in just a second. And most importantly, it's good to have a microscope, a dissecting microscope. Now, if you're very experienced with RiverWatch, you might be able to get by with just a good magnifying glass and just very close observation of your macroinvertebrates. But when at all possible, try to use a microscope. This is the microscope we usually use for Illinois RiverWatch. It is a dissecting microscope. It goes from 10 to 30 times magnification, which is adjustable on the lens right here. You also have 3 light settings. You have light from above, light from below, and then both lights at the same time, which are changed by using the knob on the side right here. So this is how you would use the RiverWatch microscope. And then of course you have your focus on the side right here to move up and down. Then you can adjust the eyepieces in and out to fit the width of your eyes. And also, if you're working with a partner, this knob right here on the side is very handy. You can loosen that and you can swivel this back and forth so you can let somebody else look at your sample without having to switch places or move the microscope. And you can screw that back down to tighten it. So that is how you use the RiverWatch microscope. Most of the time you're just going to use it on 10 times magnification. For a few of the finer characteristics, 30 times will be best. And there are microscope kits, I think there's 9 microscope kits stationed around the state. The map of those and the list of them can be found on the RiverWatch website in the materials folder. And there's also a link to the map of them. So those are available to use and check out. And RiverWatch also hosts open labs throughout the months of July through August. So these are times when you can come in and get help from a RiverWatch trainer or the coordinator to identify your macroinvertebrates. So they'll set up a time for you to come in and use microscopes and all this equipment, and all you have to do is just bring your sample. So that's also a very good option to identify your macroinvertebrates. So this is all the equipment we use. The first thing you want to do is get your white tray and your sample jar. You want to open your sample jar. Make sure no macroinvertebrates are stuck to the lid. Occasionally that happens. I don't see any there. Then you will want to grab your vial label. That was, if you already had a vial label in there, and get that out of the way. Make sure there's no macroinvertebrates stuck to that. And set that aside. Then you can pour your sample into your tray. So this just gets everything out in the open, allows you to see it very clearly. And a lot of times you'll have macroinvertebrates still stuck to the bottom. So it's good to have another little bottle of water you can rinse them out with. It looks like we've still got clump in there. I'm just going to get those out with the forceps. Alright. Inspect your jar to make sure it looks clean. There's no other macroinvertebrates hiding inside of it. And you can set your jar off to the side.